There's today's episode of Write. We're going to interview author Tom Frye about his series Havelock Emerald, which I think is particularly brilliant. Tom, what gave you the idea to write it?
Well, I'm always writing about heroes and heroic, dramatic adventures. And this time I wanted to take three flawed characters and throw them into the mix. And I based them on real people, on people I really knew.
Really?
Yeah, the very first chapter starts with Ben Blackbull, who's a dog handler, a Lakota dog handler. He's taken this 11-year-old whirlwind of rage and steam to anger management. And that whole first chapter is true. It really happened to me. I took an 11-year-old dynamite kid to child guidance, which was the anger management class. And I was sitting in the lobby, and suddenly I heard a chair crash against the wall, and I heard F-bombs flying right and left.
Really?
And all these parents looked over at me, and I heard this mother say, "Well, that's his father." And I said, No, I'm not his father. And he come storming out of the room.
Wait, they thought you were his father?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
He comes storming out of the room, and he ran 6 blocks down the street. I chased him. We got to the 6-story car park, and he got out on a ledge and hung himself by his fingertips and was going to drop off.
Wow.
And took me 20 minutes to finally get him to talk to me and calm down.
Right.
He was mad because he was a biker kid, and he'd grown up in the biker culture, and they placed him in the home of 2 cops, a man and a woman who were both cops.
Oh, boy.
They had so much structure. They measured out his cereal. They measured out his time on games. They measured out his time on TV.
Wait, they measured out his cereal?
Yeah, a little
That
like
seems kind of odd, you know.
cup. I mean,
A little picayune, don't you think?
Yeah, a little extreme. And I finally got him to and turn and talk to me, and I finally grabbed him by the wrist and pulled him off the ledge. He probably weighed about 55 pounds.
He was 6 stories up?
6 stories up. He would have died.
Wow.
Yeah. And 2 days later, he came to live with me as a foster child. And in those days, special needs paid a lot more, and I had to have a lot.
Get him away from the police couple?
I called his caseworker and told her what had happened, and she asked if I could do an emergency stay for him because she knew I did foster care. So the emergency stay turned into 2 years.
Wow. Oh, that's quite lengthy.
Yeah. But that's the first chapter of Wounded Arrow, and it's all true. It really happened. And
what's the character's name in the book?
Lucas Holland.
Holland. Okay.
Yeah, and he's the son of a biker president of a club called the Elders Den, and they're kind of notorious out in the Havelock area. And
you based it on a real motorcycle gang?
Well, you know what? I've ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a biker. That was my whole goal in life, was to be a biker, and I ended up with a Diamond mountain bike. Mountain bike. But I've known many clubs here in Lincoln, and I'm associated with a lot of them, and a lot of them are friends of mine. And so no, I didn't base it on a true. I asked a club if I could use them as my main club in the book, and they refused. They didn't want to be known in that. So
really,
yeah, I made it up. Made up the name, but some of the rivals are real clubs that were here in Lincoln at one time, and Screaming Eagles, and that's another story all in itself.
And I guess so, right?
But no, I've got 3 flawed characters, and Lucas got a defiance disorder, And if anybody's ever dealt with defiance disorder, they know it's just extreme anger, extreme rage. Kids that have it don't have energy, they have synergy. They center their anger on
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Okay, they center their anger on a target and just go for it. They don't care. There's no conscience, no thought process. They just let go. And I had to restrain him about 3 times a week. I worked at the attention center and learned all kinds of techniques on basket holds and how not to really fall into a chokehold.
So he focused on you?
Oh yeah. And if he couldn't hit me, he would bite me. And if he couldn't bite me, he would spit on me.
Oh,
and a number of times I ended up, spit hanging off my forehead, and yeah, it was quite an experience.
How old is he, by the way?
He was 11.
11.
Yeah, he stayed with me until he was 13. Where
did he go from there?
You know what? He ended up back with his real mother, who was a truck driver.
Okay.
I used to meet her out on the interstate and let her visit with him. And so I started a pretty good relationship with her, because in those days, the Health and Human Services didn't approve of him even meeting with her, because they thought she would take him and run away with him.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, but I kind of undercover work there. But you know what? He hasn't been in any trouble. He hasn't had any law violations.
Really?
Yeah. And 3 years ago, he moved in next door to me and was the new boyfriend of my biker chick neighbor.
Really?
Yeah. And I come home one night and he was over there drinking a beer, and he raised his beer and he said, "Hey, bring your guitar over here and play us a song." So I did. I hardly recognized him. He had long hair and a beard, and he'd grown up. And
wow.
But she walked me home, my neighbor chick, and she said, he told me it was a miracle living with you, that he stayed out of trouble all these years because of that. And I said, "He said that?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Whoa, wow." all the explosive outburst he had, and that's what that was a compliment. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It was, actually.
Yeah.
Now, who is your other second character?
Okay, that is Celeste Holland, and she is Lucas's older sister, and she is she's
now based off of a real person.
Yeah, she's based off a real person.
Okay.
Too. When I worked with wards of the state, 90% of my kids were boys, but 10% were girls. And I'm telling you what, the girls were the most difficult.
Really?
Oh yeah, they were.
I wouldn't expect that of them, but yeah, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I guess it's reasonable, but I still wouldn't have expected that of them.
Yeah, they were most difficult and most violent.
Most violent?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so I hardly ever took those cases. I did not want to get involved in any assaults or anything like that. And
were they women truant officers who, women caseworkers that adopted the girls, or was it mostly male?
Well, caseworkers were the people that worked with them, and they're a whole different breed. They're the ones.
Were they males or females?
That took most of my caseworkers were females, although I did have a couple male ones that were great.
Right.
They really went to bat for me every time I went to court, and got special needs pay because of damages that were done at my house. And insurance don't pay for that. Insurance don't pay for your broken lamps or your shattered walls or your dents in the wall from your head hitting it. Or a skateboard slamming into it.
Yes.
But I based Celeste on a whirlwind tiger that I'd worked with, and she's in drug treatment when the book starts. and in Omaha.
Okay.
And she works with Reason Nelson is my main character throughout the whole book. He is in Scratching on the Eight Ball as a juvenile delinquent, and then in Wounded Arrow, he's a youth counselor and a foster parent. And
Quite a transition for him, huh?
yeah, and he works with Celeste on keeping her in on his truancy programs. He keeps her in school, and she hates him with a passion.
I can imagine.
And the next character in my book is a boy named Alex Thorne, and he is a gypsy. He is from Wallachia.
Wait, a gypsy?
Pardon?
Wait, a gypsy?
Yeah, gypsy born, Romanian.
Okay.
He's of the Shengain. The Shengain were the people in Egypt who took and hid Joseph and Mary when Herod was trying to kill all the babies.
Right.
Yeah, they were a sect of gypsies back then. See, Egypt. That's where the word gypsy comes from.
Are these real or imaginary, or?
Those are real people.
Really?
This kid is not. This kid is all a creation of mine.
Right. But
And,
the gypsy man that took care of the babies was, right?
Oh yeah, that was real. That was the sect of Shen. They're called Shengain. It's Cingayne.
I never heard of them, Tom, but this is interesting.
Yeah. Well, I studied that and researched it and found out, and that's what stuck out was that they'd hid Joseph and Mary when they traveled into Egypt to get away from Herod killing babies that were 2 years old.
Right.
And so they were kind of a religious minority, and this kid grew up with wolves. He grew up in Wallachia in the forests over there, and he grew up with a wolf pack. And
so whereabouts is Wallachia?
What's that?
Whereabouts is Wallachia? In
Romania? It's like Romania, Transylvania, Wallachia, all those Polish countries.
Right.
What's where Dracula came from, and there's a blurb in the book about the Transylvania and the castle over there, and
Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah, the Impaler.
Yep.
Yeah. But it gave that kid a lot of depth, having him grow up with this wolf pack, and he's a different kid. He's not he's sensitive. He's not like Lucas. Lucas is on fire and a ball of inferno all the time, and always mad, and my dogs in my story tamp him down. I use two pit bulls. One's name is Grunge. He's a pit bull, and he's been in so many fights. The poor guy is he's just an old gruff dog, and I have
beat up a lot, right?
What's that?
You portray him as beat up a lot.
Yeah, and he relates to Lucas's anger because he knows what it's like to go into a rage, and so he tamps his anger down, and so is the puppy. Goblin is the pup, and Goblin and Grunge, they double team Lucas all the time, trying to keep him so he doesn't explode.
Right.
I have dog talk so that they talk to the kid, and there's a conversation going on between the dogs, which is humorous most of the time.
Right.
And but yeah, but like I said, Alex is more sensitive and more a deeper kid. He absorbs a lot, and he's a little older than Lucas. He's about a year older than him, and tries to, but he's still the follower. He's not the leader most of the time.
Well, you've got Lucas, Celeste, and Alex.
Alex, yep.
And Reason.
Reason Nelson comes into the story in book 2. He doesn't come in book 1. Ben Blackbull is my Lakota dog handler who owns Wounded Arrow, which is a rescue ranch. And he rescues pit bulls and bigger breed dogs. And he has vets that have PTSD work with them. And he matches them up and tries to heal them with dog therapy.
Now, that's an interesting concept. Vets with PTSD?
Yeah, yep. and I delve into PTSD in that first book. Cora Red Cloud is a animal control officer who is descendant of Red Cloud, the chief Red Cloud, and she and Ben grew up together on Pine Ridge, and actually they were in a boxing match where she beat him when he was a kid, and he remembers that.
Now were Ben and Red Cloud, did you say her name was?
Yeah, Cora Red Cloud.
Cora Red Cloud. Are they main characters or secondary characters in the book?
They're secondary, but they play a big role in trying to help Lucas. And
that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah, because Lucas becomes a foster kid with Ben, and Cora plays a big part in matching him up with the dogs.
Right. Now, could you explain the plot lines of the book? How these characters interact?
Yeah, I wanted to be careful that I didn't get in any dog fights. I don't want the dogs ever fighting, but that's on the periphery of everything. It's a threat,
right?
It's a dramatic threat, and I had one lady stop reading my book because she thought there was going to a dog fight, and she said, "I can't read that," and I'm like, "Well, you didn't give it a chance."
Oh,
yeah. So, but yeah, there's some bad characters in the book, bad people, dog men. They fight dogs, and they don't see anything wrong with putting a dog in a ring and having it kill another dog. And
oh boy.
Yeah, they play a big part in the story too. And Cora and Ben are totally against these people. And Ben is an advocate who defends dogs and rescues them and keeps them away from people like that. But those people veer into the story and add a dramatic touch.
Right. But what do you consider the plot line that flows through all 4 books?
Probably redemption. Because I think Lucas is defined by his anger, and suddenly he confronts it and he starts getting better.
In which book does it start getting better? The first one, second one, third, or fourth?
Well, I think about the 4th book.
4th book, okay.
Yeah, because there's development going on. I mean,
so the first 3 books, you got Lucas in anger management mode, right?
Yeah, that's book 1.
Explosive and rageful. In the 4th book, he sees the error of his ways, right?
Yeah, he starts listening to the dogs and listening to them tell him, what he should be doing, and so the dog therapy starts to work. But in book 2, it's he meets an anti-terrorist who is based on the Iraqi. They're called Phantoms, and they're a force over there that goes out and finds terrorists all over the world and shuts them down.
Ooh, executes them, right?
Yeah, I don't get into that part, but I hint around about it. But this Khalid Kareem is a anti-terrorist who is coming here to America to search for a terrorist cell who is planning on killing military dogs. And that's book 2. That's the Saracen. And it's based on an incident that happened in Mosul because there were 2 machines left behind, radiation machines that had cobalt-60 in it, which you make dirty bombs with.
It's an isotope, yes?
Yeah, and ISIS was looking for them, and a group of Americans found them and whisked them out of Mosul. And they were dog handlers. And so for dogs to be an insult like that to these Muslims, they want to kill them. They think that was just such a disgrace because they became the laughing stock of the world. It really happened.
Right.
They were laughing and saying ISIS is not smart enough to find these 2 machines, and here these Marines found them.
Oh boy!
And whisk them out of there. So there's a plot to destroy these service dogs here in America, and Khalid is here, and his son Ali is Lucas's age, and they meet in school when Lucas takes a gun away from a boy who tries to give it to Allie because he wants him to do a school shooting.
Now what's Celeste's plotline? The redemption. How does it interact with the theme?
Yeah, she's I use a lot. I veer into magic in this story.
Okay.
Charles DeLint was an author from Canada, and he wrote about mythic fantasy. And what he did was he combined urban kids with
Now, what's
magic.
the author's name that combined urban fantasy and magic?
Charles DeLint.
Charles DeLint. Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if he's still alive, but he wrote some dynamite books. And he combines urban kids with fairies and elves. And he's a musician, too, I think, because he's got all kinds of musicians in his stories. And
really? Okay.
Yeah. And it's all taking place in Montreal and Canada. There's a house called the Tamsin House, which is kind of a portal between the worlds.
Right.
And it's kind of I based the Emerald Pub in Havelock on that because the Emerald is a way station between realms. And
now,
so
how does Celeste interact with those themes of redemption?
Yeah, she gets into the magic. Her and Lucas had to rescue Grunge from a dogfight, and they ended up out in the country, and she met a gypsy chieftain, a Singane chieftain, who placed 2 tattoos on her. The stags with their antlers running down here, and then a wolf. And so these two wolves are on these cheeks here, and the stag antlers come up out of her.
What do you mean by wolf?
Wolves.
What are they?
They're
dogs or?
Yeah, they're like
okay.
Dogs.
Okay.
Real wolves.
Wow.
And the 2 wolves and the stag play a big part in Celeste becoming this powerful mage lord. She's she's a magic user, and and they come to life whenever she's in danger, and they defend her, and they become.
That sounds like an interesting character, right?
Yeah. She's got a lot of depth to her, and she doesn't quite understand it at first, but she delves into it and then embraces it. And that's what saves her. I mean, that's what takes her out of her.
That's what takes her out of the drug use, right?
Yep. She grew up with a pretty rough dad, and she lost her mom, and she had a pretty rough childhood, and she's got a lot of depth to her too. There's a personality there, and
how does Alex relate to your theme of redemption?
Well, Alex has a big
He's more sensitive, but
yeah, he has a big role to play in book 4 and book 3. He in
book 3 and 4, right?
Yeah, I have him going over into the realm. There's a room in the Havelock Emerald, which is a pub, an Irish pub in Havelock, and it's a way station between this realm and a realm called Valisar. And Alex ends up over in Valisar with a pack of wolves. And he finds out that he and these wolves have a lot in common. And then he meets the characters over there. And it was actually designed as a game, as a virtual reality game that Reason designed to help juvenile delinquents.
Okay.
And he was going to use Lucas for the main tester, but Lucas has so much anger and so much hostility that he wants to show the game has merit, and so he doesn't want to use Lucas as the main. So he uses Alex because he's more even keel.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, Tom, you've got the recordings of your audiobooks, Havelock Emerald Series 2. How did you feel about when you first heard the recordings?
I had tears in my eyes. I couldn't believe I wrote that stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a movie. It was, my goal has always been since 1982 is to get one of my books made into a movie, and and that was as close as I came so far. But I sat back and I just listened, and I thought, wow, I can't believe I even put that together.
Do you feel that the stories come to life when they're recorded in audio?
Oh yeah, big time. Yep.
Well, that's
It's
great.
it's a whole different aspect, and it really made it for real for me, and it confirmed that I was on track. You know.
Right, right. Now, I understand you're going to record one of your books on audio too, right?
Right. Right.
Learning Audacity just to record, and that'd be very exciting to hear your voice in
Yeah.
recording of your books.
Yeah. Stagheart Woods 2 and 3 is what I'm planning, and
Right.
I I think there's
Maybe you
enough.
should do Res Dog first, right?
Oh, that's an idea. Yeah, Res
Yeah,
Dog.
yeah, you should. All right. That concludes today's interview. Tune in next week when you have another interview with author Tom Frye. Tom, what's your website?
Uh, www.tomfrye.org.
Or Facebook?
Tom J. Fry. Dog.
I'm Jay
That's
Fry,
just
right?
yeah.
Right now, I'm Rick Moore, the publisher of his books at www.whitecatpublications.com. Until our next episode, I wish you goodbye, right?
Thanks, Rick.